But then, when you talk more, like you're talking about renewable energy to some people means incineration. How the kind of renewable energy standards that we're seeing in states, do they encourage incineration? How do we fix that?
I have another presentation that has a lot of maps of the United States coded by various indicators, and when you start looking at use of renewables and which states have moved forward in trying to come up with strategies, and which states have very few regulations to deal with coal ash from power plants, you start seeing a regional bias, or states that that are lagging far behind, and a lot of them happen to be in the South and the Southwest. I think the power company, that is the oil and gas company, the coal companies, they've done a very good job brainwashing people and putting their propaganda out and buying elected officials to tout this notion that, for example, there's something called clean coal. Even the president has bought this, which is bunk. There's clean earth, but there's no such thing as clean coal. In terms of nuclear, the nuclear power companies, if you look at the nuclear power plants where they are and the ones that are being proposed, there's another regional bias in terms of the South having a larger percentage of those power plants, those 21 plants that are now being proposed, targeted. When we talk about biomass energy plants, these are incinerators, but they're not being talked about as incinerators, because when you start talking about plants that generate electricity that are not coal-fired, then people start to think, oh, this is great. It's not coal. And so I think how we define and how we label and how we structure our organizations, and these companies, they give a lot of money to our organizations and our universities. And there's some departments and some universities that will not speak out against the kinds of just greenwashing that's occurring. But there's a lot of money involved and a lot of power that's supported by this kind of thing. So I think what we have to do is try to expose it and try to educate our population and our communities about what does this mean. Just like the community in Alabama, they saw themselves had forming this community benefits agreement with this company that was going to build this facility. They saw this as a win situation, as a good situation, until we started talking about the negative side effects of these facilities, untried, untrue, untested, very risky. And then they were saying, well, why didn't anybody tell us this? That's the kind of thing I think our university, that's what our centers do.
Could I just I want to respond to her just very quickly. If you look at the gasification plants, what I didn't know was that this plant or this process goes before the United States government, the EPA, or some agencies, and then they classify it as renewable energy. There is a process that I need to learn more about. Well, when these companies we need to be trying to redefine, as Bullitt said, what is green. And so there needs to be, in terms of identifying these things, we need to have some say. There needs to be some way that communities can respond and begin to put in, what's the word I'm going to use? Sort of safeguards. In other words, you are green if you don't impact communities in a certain way, if you're not releasing. In other words, just because the end product is that you produce electricity shouldn't make you green. It has to be a more holistic view of that process that makes you green, and that has not happened within our government. And so there has to be a process.
See, there's a difference between green and renewable. Something
Right.
can be renewable and not green. You know,
Right.
you know, trees can produce forever, but the fact that you're burning wood chips and that process itself, in terms of what's going on in that process, may not necessarily be in the best interest. It may be cleaner than a coal plant, but it's not. There's no zero
Yeah.
impact. I mean,
Exactly.
negative.
Okay, I'm sorry.